everyone, welcome back to my class. You know that I am Halim Nisan, teacher and junior lecturer of Alibad High School and Junior College. So in today's class we are discussing about the 12th chapter, which is related to the civics second year, and chapter name is India and the World. So here in this chapter, first we will see the determinants of the foreign policy here. Here foreign policy implies the formulation and the implementation of a group of principles which shape the behavior pattern of state while negotiating with the other states to protect to the further its vital interests. And their objectives are to maintain the national integrity and to protecting its sovereignty and to promoting the economic interest and to maintaining the world order. So here the foreign policy is a state is determined by the several factors. They are classified into three categories, and they are general, internal and external. Here in general determinants, the sovereignty and integrity of state and interdependence of state and the promotion of national interest and the internal and external conditions will come under in general determinants. Now whereas in internal determinants, the geography and history, population, economic factors will come in internal determinants, whereas in external determinants, international organizations and international affairs of other states and other elements will come under this. Now we will see about the basic features of India's foreign policy. Here India became a sovereign state in 1947 exactly and became playing an active role in the international politics and relation among the nations. So here the Jawaharlal Nehru, our first Prime Minister, left a legacy on the India's foreign policy by basic principles. So this subsequent Prime Ministers followed his path in external affairs. So here the Nehru adopted a realistic foreign policy, keeping in view that the prevailing conditions such as the Cold War between the superpowers and the bipolarizations and the military alliances and the arms race and the imperialism and colonialism and the racism also. So here even though the some of these have changed over the years, so here the basic aim, principles and parameters of India's foreign policy remain unchanged, and they are opposes the colonialism and the imperialism and the opposes racial discrimination and the international peace and Panchashil and non-alignment and the special relations with the ancient countries and the faith in the United Nations and links with the Commonwealth nations and the disarmament and the look east policy. So after this, now we will see about the India and non-alignment movement here. Here India plays a leading role as the beacon of the third world countries. So here she dominated in the international affairs by being a part of the non-alignment movement, that is NAM. Now, so here she contributed significantly for the growth of the movement, and the movement consists of the conference of the head of the state or government here. So here the non-alignment countries first conference was held in the 1961 at Belgrade. Here the term non-alignment was coined by the V.K. Krishna Menon in 1953. So during the UN General Assembly session at the UN, here later on it was popularized by the Jawaharlal Nehru in 1954. So during a speech in the Colombo, Sri Lanka. So here the movement emerged as a part of the Afro-Asian Bandung here conference in the year 1955. Here NAM can be explained by a policy of not aligning with any power bloc, particularly the Western or the Communist bloc. So here the Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru, M. Tito and the K. Sukharanu and the G. Abul Nasir were the founding statesmen of this movement. So here the objectives of the NAM are peace and disarmament and the right to self-determination of all the colonial people and the racial equality as a right for everyone and attaining the economic equality and opposing the cultural domination or cultural imperialism here and to support the internationalism. So see this logo of NAM. After this logo and chart, now we will discuss about the India and BRICS. Here BRICS is a acronym for an association of 5 major emerging economies of the world, namely as Brazil, Russia, India, China and South Africa, that is BRICS. So, here to pursue the common objectives of the BRICS was formed in 2009, mainly to improve the global economic situation and reforming the financial institutions here. So, during the first summit meeting held in Russia in 2009, here only 4 countries were member, but here later the South Africa joined in 2010 in the group. So, here most of these 5 countries are newly industrialized and developing nations and represent nearly 40% of the world's population here. So, BRICS oppose all forms of the domination and the insist or the principles of equality and justice in international relations. So, during the year 2014, here the foreign ministers of the 5 nations declared that the escalation of hostile language, sections and the counter sanctions and the force does not contribute to the sustainable and peaceful solution according to the international law and principles of UN characters. So, here the BRICS group is also contemplating an establishment of a new developing banks and a reserve currency pool. So, here the new submits to the governor support for the improvement of the international financial system and the reforming UN Security Council and the facilitating the technology transfer and optimizing the benefits of the international trade under the WTO regime and so on here. So, after this, now we will see about the India and BIMSTEC here. Here in India and BIMSTEC, here the Bay of Bengal initiative for the multi-sectoral technical and the economic cooperation, that is BIMSTEC, okay, is an organization set up in 1997 with the sum of the nations of the South Asia and Southeast Asia. Here the members of this organization are India, Bangladesh, Nepal, Bhutan, Sri Lanka, Myanmar and Thailand here. And the headquarters of the BIMSTEC are located at Bangladesh at Dhaka. And here the first summit meeting was held in 2004, where the BIMSTEC seek to identify the core areas of the cooperation among the members countries, among them the 6 core priority areas which covers trade and investment, transport and communication, energy, tourism, technology and fisheries here. Here the identified during the ministerial conference in 1998, here the latter in the 8th ministerial meeting, a number of new areas of cooperation emerged with, including the agriculture, public health and the poverty alleviation, terrorism and the transnational crime and the environment and the national disaster management and the culture, people to people contact and the climate change also there. Now the SAARC. Here the regionalism in the world means the promoting a common interest in the area of economic, military and non-political by 7 states. So, it is a loose association with the evolved over a period of a time. So, the idea of regionalism emerged to resolve the common issues through the efforts of a handful of nations, and in most cases the function on the basis of the geography locations. And here a new trend in the regional grouping is the participating by the members outside the region as well. So, here the SAARC is an acronym that stands for the South Asia Association for the Regional Cooperation, and President Ziaur Rahman of Bangladesh here play an important role in creating the SAARC grouping, and the SAARC was formally launched on 8th December in 1985 by Bangladesh, Bhutan, India, Maldives, Nepal, Pakistan and Sri Lanka. But here the Afghanistan became a member state on 3rd April in 2007. So, here at present the SAARC club consists of the 8 member states. So, here after SAARC, now we will see about the United Nations organization. Here the United Nations organization is the premier international organization established to maintain the world peace and security. So, it was formed after the failure of the League of Nations in preventing the outbreak of the Second World World War. While the Second World War was going on, here the Allied powers took the initiative for the establishment this world body. So here the origin of UNO. Here the 26 states including the UN states on January 1st in 1942. Here the proclaimed of the United Nations Declaration incorporating the ideas and the investors of the Atlantic Charter. Here the later on the foreign ministers of the United States, Britain and the Soviet Union and the China adopted the Moscow Declaration on October 30 in 1943 and accepting the necessity of an international organization based on the principle of sovereignty, equality of all peace-loving states here. So again the representative of these four states met at Dumbarton Oaks, Washington on October in 1944 for preparing the draft on the structure of the Security Council of the United Nations organizations. So in 1945 here the Franklin and the Joseph and the Wilson met at Yalta and decided to convince an international conference of all these peace-loving states for all the purpose of creating a new international organization. So here a committee of jurists representing 44 states also met at Washington for drafting the statute on the International Court of Justice. So here finally the delegates of the 50 nations met at San Francisco from the 25th April to 26th June in 1945 to discuss the Dumbarton Oaks proposals and to draft the statute of the International Court of Justice here. So here the charter of the present United Nations organization and the statute of International Court of Justice was ratified and signed after the thoroughly discussions in that conference. Here the charter come into the force on 24th October in 1945. So here by April 1946 the General Assembly and the Security and the Council and the International Court of Justice and the offices of the Secretary General began functioning here. And the aims of the United Nations organizations are to save the succeeding generations from the scourge of war and to ensure the rights and dignity of to the all human beings and to ensure the equal rights to men and women and to treat equally all states large or small and to ensure the justice, performance of treaty and obligations and respect for international law and to promote the social progress and better standards of life and good neighborhood and to maintain the international peace and security and to ensure that force is not used except in common interest and to strive for the social and the economic development of all people of the world here. So, by these objectives of the United Nations organizations, we have completed our 12th chapter, that is India and the world. So, by this chapter also we have completed our syllabus. Thank you.